can change this world if you keep on going.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Yours truly, back in the space, back in the place once again. Mickey Smith Jr. And you're here, guys. It's the podcast.
We made it.
Keep on going. And I always like to say life's better when we band together. And that's what this is about right now. You can't do anything worth doing alone. So I got my man in the space with me today. Introduce yourself, Josh. Let them know who you are, man.
Yeah, man. So my name's Josh. Me and Mickey have known each other for a little bit. We met at church. I was a former youth pastor. Now I'm a full-time foster parent. I've got a family of 9. That sounds crazy when you say it. So love Mickey, love what he's doing. I have to say, man, like I have to honor you for a little bit. Your friendship makes my life better. And when I think about the ambition, the positivity, and the hope that you literally walk in every day, it's not a thing, guys. It's not a face. Like, this is really him, the keep on going guy. It makes me better. It challenges me to be a better father, better husband, and better leader. So I'm thankful.
Man,
I'm thankful for you. It's an honor. It's an honor to be a part. Super excited to be doing this. We're just going to jump in.
Yeah.
If that's okay with you. It's going to be sort of an interview style. Hopefully you can listen to this on the way to work, in the gym, in your office, and hopefully it's a blessing to you and it benefits you.
And look, it's all about the love today.
Yeah.
I think we live in a world where we don't normalize that enough.
Yeah.
It's okay to let folks know that they matter. And I appreciate that, Josh, man. I appreciate being in a place where you can just be authentic with folks. And at the same time, I hope you feel that on your side of the screen, so to speak. So today, it's all love. We're here to help you know that you're loved, valued, and wanted. And we're going to share some stories of joy and some systems of joy so that you keep on going and enjoy every day, no matter what. So, hey, let's get started.
Yeah, that's good. And I also want to say, too, I'm not a teacher. And there may be people watching this or that follow you, and they're like, man, I'm not a teacher. How does Mickey's stuff relate to me? And I can say, as someone who's not a teacher, that your content transcends teaching, just about being relationship-based, just about keeping going, staying persistent, discipline, your thing on balance, all of that. So if you're not a teacher, this is still going to be beneficial to you. So today, we want to go straight for the jugular.
Yeah.
We're going to talk about a tough issue,
All right.
and it's a current, relatable, relevant issue, and we want to talk about teacher burnout.
Yeah.
It's a serious thing. I was doing some studying this morning, and I read something. It said Florida and we're in Florida, by the way. Florida is at the forefront of the teacher shortage in 2024 with over 5,000 vacancies. It's the highest demand in the nation, in the beautiful country of Florida. Okay.
Yes.
And then I read, and this was shocking, we were talking about it before we started, that K through 12 teachers are the #1 most burnt out job in the United States of America. So we're not talking about this just to talk about it. It's a serious thing.
Sure.
And you're the keep on going guy. So we've got to address it. I was talking to Mickey earlier. There's sort of this movement on. There's hashtags about it, like hashtag I quit teaching, hashtag quit teaching, and it's viral. There's teachers that are celebrating the fact that, well, should I say ex teachers that are celebrating the fact that they were stressed, they were anxious, they were burnt out, and they decided to make a decision to walk away from teaching. And they're not keeping it to themselves.
Yeah.
They're sharing with everybody. They're using their influence on social media, all of that, to say, hey, I quit teaching. If you're a teacher and you're stressed, you should quit teaching. And it's almost like they're recruiting a little bit of army. And this is the opposite message of the keep on going guy. The you matter, you're significant, you're making impact. What do you think about that? What are your thoughts when you hear that there's so many teachers walking away and sort of celebrating it? What are your thoughts?
My first thought is there's an old saying that says cliches are always there because there's truth in them.
Mm-hmm.
And I think even when we talk about criticism, I think that there's some truth in that.
Yeah.
So nothing I say today is to discount or disqualify the truth that people do burn out.
Yeah.
People are overwhelmed. People are put in situations that dare I even say, are traumatic to the point where they say, I have to distance myself from this thing called teaching. But with that being said, back where I'm from Louisiana. We got some weird sayings, yeah. Like they say stuff like there's more than one way to skin a cat. And I never understood, why would you want to skin a cat? Okay. But the whole purpose is there's more than one way to go about doing something.
Yeah.
And I believe that this is one of those prime examples of there can be truth in a thing, but it's not a one-way street.
Yeah, that's good.
You know, I just believe it's true. If I can be real with you, you know, I've seen situations where I have actually encouraged people to find something else, because in life there's no one size fits all.
Yeah.
So I may be the keep on going guy, but just like in my classroom, I don't teach cookie cutter. I try to see every child.
Yeah.
And I try to teach and reach them according to who they are, what their situation and circumstance is. And I believe that anybody that's in this thing called teaching, or whatever field that you're in, you know, you should make sure that you're taking time to really evaluate the situation. One of the things I always like to say is, you know, you can't judge the totality of a situation by a moment.
Wow.
Right?
That's good.
So by that I mean, you know, I've read books. I've read some of them were thick. Like I've read some significant books, right? And every book I've read, there's always a page or two, sometimes even a chapter or two, that, I'm going to be honest, it ain't the best. But you don't throw away the book because of a bad page or a bad chapter. Wow. Same is true with a movie. There may be a moment in it that I can get up and go get the popcorn. We don't throw away the whole story just because of a few seconds. And I think that's one thing first thing we have to stop and ask ourselves. Have we evaluated the story, or are we becoming demoralized by a moment?
Wow. That's huge. And like we said, man, that transcends so much, so many different industries, so many different niches. And that's powerful. What would you say, and this is a tough question because there's so many factors, but if we had to nail down like 3, 4, 5 factors, like teacher burnout, clearly a thing. Yeah. Why? Like, what are the reasons? What are some factors? Everybody thinks if you Google it, there's so much stuff that comes up. Everybody's got an opinion on it. In your professional opinion, what you've personally experienced, I'm sure you've had friends in the industry come and go at the different schools that you've been at. What do you think? Like, what are some of the top reasons?
Oh, let me channel my Shakespeare. Let me count the waves. I mean, but seriously, yeah. I mean, if we wanted to, we could do an entire podcast on just on the reasons why.
Yeah.
But before I say that, I'll say this. I'm going to list the problems, but I want to challenge you as you're listening to this to understand problems were meant to be recognized but never committed to.
Wow.
The key is always to commit to the solution. Now, I'm not telling you put your head in the sand, but what I am saying is that the sand is not the significance, that there's more to this thing. That's good. Right?
That's good.
So with that being said, I'm going to state what I feel are some of the problems.
Yeah.
I think number one for a lot of teachers is the support. And support looks like so many different ways. If you're a new teacher, mentorship is woefully underprovided. Is that even a word, underprovided? Maybe it's 2 words, right? It's like when you come in, they expect you to be a teacher. Now, I want you, look, the only thing I can compare that to, okay, you gonna feel me on this, okay? I'll never forget my wife and I, after the birth of our first child, these doctors and nurses, really it was the nurses, put my wife in a wheelchair with the baby. Mm-hmm. Okay, Michaela and Eugenia, right? Eugenia's holding Michaela. They wheeled them out to the driveway. I was instructed to go get the vehicle.
Yep.
And these people watched us get in a car, knowing that we weren't much more than a child ourselves.
No clue.
And we were told in that moment, congratulations, you are parents.
Yeah.
Not adults. Parents. We were charged over another human.
Yep.
We didn't even know what we were going to do the rest of the day. And I think teachers, so many times, you know, especially if you have young teachers, you're coming into a situation where this may be your first job.
Yeah.
Like the first job
you've
ever had. And this job carries so much weight. The weight of the future of our country
literally
rests in the hands of somebody who just got out of the institution called teaching.
Yeah.
I'm trying to paint this picture because a lot of times we see teachers, but we don't understand that there's a learning curve with that. Mm. And if we do not support those young teachers in those first days, then what happens is, and the stats will show in the first 5 years, that's usually the highest propensity for people to leave because you're expected to know everything. Yeah. And honestly, some things are not microwavable. They're like cakes that bake. So how do we keep people in the game? I think there has to be mentorship, because that's a big problem, that they don't have the support. Now, support also comes with resources. And I've taught in every situation. I've taught kindergarten through college. I've taught urban. I taught the code words for urban, Title I, all that kind of stuff. I've taught in the good schools, the bad schools, the hood schools, the rural schools, the suburban schools, the private, the public. And what I've found is the greatest game changer is support.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's funding. Sometimes it's having the right resources. That funding creates a freedom in the classroom for that teacher to operate and excel at the highest level, and thusly the students as well. So when you show me a classroom that believes, I'm going to show you one that achieves, but it's hard to believe if you don't have the support, whether that's mentorship, funding, administrative, the list goes on, parental. These are the things you'll hear from people.
Huge.
They just don't feel like they have the support, even from the community. I was watching an SNL skit where they were talking about all these different professions, and when the teacher spoke up, everybody low-key laughed at the teacher. You ain't a real profession, but it's the profession that creates all other professions.
Exactly.
But something has shifted in the dynamic of our country in the last decades or so, where teachers are not respected. These are just some of the things that weighs heavy on the hearts and minds of teachers.
Yeah, that's huge. And Teacher Appreciation Week can't fix.
It can't.
Can't fix being undervalued.
Send a gift. I'll take it. But it's a Band-Aid on a bigger wound. I'm just saying. Thank you all that have ever given me a teacher appreciation gift. I want you to know it was valued and wanted. I'm just saying.
It comes at the right time.
Yes,
sometimes. Indeed. Man, that's good. And there's so many. Like, that's just the tip of the iceberg. The next question, just like you were saying, I can't stand when someone brings a problem without the solution, and we got to talk about it, man. So what is, and it's so hard. It's such a blanket statement, right? But what are some steps we can take? What is the solution to teachers that are feeling so discouraged and so burnt out by the extra hours they put in? What's the solution here when we look at the shortages, when we look at the burnout, when we look at the turnover rate, teachers stepping away over the summer? In your perspective, in your professional opinion, man, what's the solution, if there is one, or solutions?
Yeah.
What do you think?
I got about 3 or 4 that come to mind just off the top of my head.
Okay.
I think number one is support. I think support. And look, I'm not gonna go down the rabbit hole, but I it's so interesting. We watch sports, and we don't think anything of LeBron saying he need a few more All-Stars.
Yeah.
We don't think anything of the Dodgers saying we got to pull a few more people in. If you're in that fan base, you're upset when your GM does not give your superstar the support, or your coach or your team the support and the roster they need to win.
Yeah.
Yet teachers are expected to win the ultimate game with limited to no resources.
Yeah.
So I would say support, okay? I would also say salary, okay? Because at the end of the day, it's not even just about money, it's about time. And so many teachers' time is so taxed, not just by teaching. And look, let me clear something up right now. I'm gonna get on my soapbox for just a second.
Do it.
All these people that are like, oh, but teachers got 3 months off. We don't get paid for those 3 months. What they do is they take the 9 months you get paid, and then they chop that up.
Yeah.
And they partition it out across 12 months.
Break it down.
So you're not really getting paid. It's not like they're just sitting at home and they're getting paid to sit at home. There are some 12-month salary folks. Those are usually administrators. Thusly, they make more money, right? Because they're in the office, so to speak, over the summer. But teachers, generally speaking, they're not making that. They ain't bringing home the bag like that. So I think salary goes a long way, because now that helps teachers not have to go get a second or a third. And I'm going to go ahead and say it. Some of y'all think I'm exaggerating. I'm not. Go look at the stats. A fourth job. That's insane. And if you do that, now that contributes to the burnout, because it's very difficult to do this job in and of itself that requires so much when you're lacking sleep, when you're lacking time with family, when you're lacking those things that are necessary to pour into you so you can pour into others. So I think it's support. I think it's salary. I think it's freedom. There's a high level of disrespect that teachers feel oftentimes in the profession, because to be a teacher, you got to have the bachelor's,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
A lot of times they push you to go get the master's, for this incredibly small stipend or this incredibly small step up in salary. You go get the master's, and some even have doctorates, right? And you have all this education, yet there are people that have never stepped foot in a classroom that are now making decisions about the classroom.
Yeah.
Could you imagine that in any other profession? Could you imagine going to the board of health or going to some medical board and telling them, I believe doctors need to do this, yet you're not a doctor? This is the type of thing that teachers find. In addition to, you have all this education, but you're almost a prisoner sometime of the profession.
And this is the politics side of it. Because when I was doing my research, that was one of the top answers, like that contributes to burnout. It's politics, and I didn't understand it. Like, what does that mean? But now I get it.
You want to tick a teacher off? Bring that up. I mean, even when I think about the prisoner of the profession too. Most teachers are locked into their job. Like, there's no lunch breaks. You don't get to go out to Starbucks.
I read somewhere that even bathroom breaks.
Can't go to the bathroom. Could you imagine being a grown adult and you got to ask somebody, hey, can I go use the bathroom? I need somebody to cover. It's just those little microaggressions, those little micro traumas. After a while, it just leaves people saying, I don't need this.
See no other option.
I think that freedom, giving them opportunities to be treated like professionals, and then the funding for the school itself. We talked about the salary, but I'm talking about funding. Yeah. You got to have something to work with in order to do the work. I think those four things: support, salary, the freedom, and the funding.
That's powerful. And I'd encourage people, if you're watching this, go in the comments, contribute. What do you think? What are some of the reasons yourself? But those are definitely some of
the answers are always in the room. Yeah. I've always found that.
That's good.
Hey, you may see us, but it's us. Yeah. We're all in here together. So we value and appreciate your contributions to this conversation. So put it in the comments.
We'd love to know. And I think it sort of segues into, a lot of people may not know this. They see you as the keep on going guy. You're always optimistic, never have a moment of weary, tired. You don't drink coffee. It's a miracle. It's crazy. Man, so you shared with me about a time where you were ready. You were ready to wave the flag. You were ready to throw in the towel. And I think some people may not see that, and that may shock them. Of like, wait, you're the keep on going, never quit, always be inspirational, motivational. You're contagious. Can you get into a little bit of that story in that moment? And for the person that may be in that same boat of considering and being on the fence, we're going into summer. They got a lot of time to think about whether this is something they want to jump back in. This could literally be a throwing of the lifesaver for them. So share a little bit about that moment in your career.
Well, before I share that, I'll share this morning something happened.
Okay.
I'm full transparency. I left everything I knew in Louisiana, and it wasn't bad, y'all. Big shout out to Bayou State. I love y'all. It was great, but I felt something internally and something bigger than myself compelling me to make this move for myself and my family. But I'm fully honest, I didn't understand everything. Yeah. And I like to understand stuff. I'm a teacher. I like to know. Yeah. So we moved, and I shared, I guess what you can call my testimony, so to speak, with our staff this past school year. And there's a woman here at the school that was believing for something in her life, and my story encouraged her. Wow. Right? So this morning, I was feeling a little discouraged. Matter of fact, the last few days I felt a little discouraged, asking myself, is this what I was supposed to do? Not that anything is necessarily wrong, but man, sometimes you just wonder. Yeah. And I wondered, did I do the right thing by leaving what was good? That individual stopped me this morning and said, Mickey, I can't believe you're here. We never run into each other. She said, I was literally just getting ready to come find you and give you a praise report, so to speak.
Come on, man.
She shares something that is personal but powerful for her life, and it touched me. She said, and I'm going to be honest with you, Mickey, the reason we were able to move in the direction we moved was because you said something. She said, when you were speaking to the staff, you made a comment, how do you give up something that's good for something that's not quite understood? And I'm going to be honest, as she said it, I started to kind of tear up a little bit because I was literally sitting in that moment where I didn't understand. Yeah. And I was wondering if I was making the right decision.
That's powerful.
She shared some stuff with me, and I was encouraged. And it's so interesting that sometimes the very seed that you sow will be the thing that comes back to help you grow and keep on going. And to answer your question about that situation with me, many, many years ago, I had a student who was fantastic, but on a particular day, she just kind of seemed to be out of sorts, man. And as she was walking up to the school, to the band hall, I saw her and I said, hey, normally I say good morning, I give a fist bump, high five. I don't really do high fives anymore. Like I just
COVID.
Yeah. And look, middle school boys. Well, I shouldn't have said that. I don't really fist bump, right? And but on this day, I saw her and I said something weird. I said, hey, I see you, which was a weird thing to say to somebody, right? It's
different,
kind of creepy, kind of weird, right?
Different.
And she didn't look up at me, so I got really low. I said, hey, I see you. I said, put a smile on your face. I see you, Miss Jones. And she smiled a little bit. She walked in the classroom. Look, real talk. It wasn't one of them Disney movies or something. Like nothing magical happened. We just had class, very forgettable class. I don't even remember what happened that day in class, right? 4 years later, I find myself incredibly depressed, professionally and personally, because it's hard to separate the two, right? And I'm like, man, what am I doing? I'm not making any money doing this thing called teaching. I'm not getting the support I feel like I need to get. The kids definitely, man, they not easy to work with. Like my family is suffering. Let me bounce. I'm out of here. So I sat down to write my letter of resignation. As I sit down to write my letter of resignation, I noticed that I had some letters that came in the mailbox that day. 3 handwritten letters from students who were seniors, okay, that were assigned by their senior 12th grade English teacher to think of one person, pre-K through 12th grade, who made the biggest difference in their life.
Yep.
3 kids said out of everybody, teacher, custodian, cafeteria worker, principal, coach. I ain't even that smart. What, 14 years of school? 14 years? One person? They said Mr. Smith.
Wow.
But here's the crazy part. None of those 3 kids after middle school continued with the subject I taught. They all quit band. That's why I always say, at the end of the day, it's not just about the subject matter, it's about showing them that they matter, right? That's what they remember.
Yeah.
So one of the letters was from that little girl who is now grown up, so to speak. She said, Mr. Smith. I said, I'm sitting down writing my letter of resignation, right? She says, Mr. Smith, you were always tough on us, but you were kind, you were encouraging, you always meant the best for us. I never forget. She's like, I don't know if you know this or not, but in 8th grade, I was at my lowest. She said, when I was in 8th grade, I felt I didn't have value, right? I felt worthless. She said, I felt invisible.
Wow.
She said, on the day that I felt invisible, I remember I came to your class and you said, I see you. And I'm telling you, it's crazy.
It gives you chills, man.
So I'm reading this letter. She says a few other things. She says, I went on to high school and there'll be those battles mentally. Yeah. Like, I think we all know suicide is the second leading cause of death in our young people, right? And she said, every time I would have these thoughts, I would always remember, no, somebody would miss me. No, Somebody does care. Mr. Smith said, I see you. Man, at this point, like, I'm crying. I don't even like to cry. Like, I get mad if I start crying. I'm mad at the table crying. I done cried all over the letter. And I ended up tearing up my letter of resignation. And I shared that story with someone one day. And this woman said, wow, it's powerful. She said, but you don't even understand it. I said, what you mean? It's my story. I understand it. She said, no. She said, the crazy part is, the amazing part is, that when that little girl was at her lowest, your words, I see you, was everything she needed to keep on going.
Yeah.
Little did you know 4 years later when you'd be at your lowest, her words in the form of that letter would be everything you needed to keep on going. All we can really leave in this thing called life is what we believe. So our actions and our deeds, they become like the seed I was talking about. I need you to keep on going and keep on sowing out there, somebody. I can't explain it for you because everyone's situation is significant and singular. But what I can tell you is that there's a commonality between all educators. And that is, we do more than teach, we reach. We do more than instruct, we inspire. That's the one thing AI can't do. That's what you can do. So that's why I'm going to tell you, like Alicia Keys told me, we need you. We need you. We need you.
And that's that, man. I don't know any other way to end it on that. I was going to ask you just to speak to the teacher that's feeling that feeling of discouragement and undervalued, but you really just did it right there. Your story of what you've gone through and what you've accomplished, and everybody can see what you're doing of being poured into by amazing people, but then you travel the nation and you're literally speaking to thousands and thousands of educators with a simple 3-word message of keep on going. And I hope it encourages somebody. If you're a teacher, if you're feeling that discouragement or whatever it may, we're literally here.
Hey, it's school, y'all.
If you can't hear the chime, we're here, live in action. We just want you to be encouraged. You heard it from the Keep On Going guy himself. Keep on going. You matter. We need you. We're so appreciative of teachers, man. We're literally here at the end of the school year. Just to end on a fun note, man. What would you say? One word to describe this school year. This would be what, the 2023-2024 school year. How would you describe it with one word?
Limitless. Put that good or bad. Limitless.
Yeah.
Limitless. There's been times where it's felt limitless. So come on, anybody out there feel limitless with me? I mean, it's been a year.
Yeah.
But the good news is this. Things may be tough, but so are you. So are you. You always got to remember that. No matter what you face, you got everything it takes to keep on going. So if I could leave them with a word, I say this, guys. Make your next steps your best steps. Because if you do that, your next sounds will be your best sounds yet. And your sound can change the world, but only if you keep on going. I get it. Teaching is an arduous journey, but it's a hero's journey. Just think of any good movie you've seen.
Yeah.
It's a hero's journey.
Yeah.
And, in order to be that hero, it takes what it takes. And the good news is you've got what it takes to do everything you need to do. So do me a favor. Make your classroom sound. Make your teaching epic. And I promise you, your legacy will be significant. But only if
you keep on going.
My man.
Hey, that's episode 1 of the Keep On Going podcast with yours truly, Mickey Smith Jr. in the space, in the place. We'll see you next time.
Your sound can change this world if you keep on going.